this feels good. Allow for me to reintroduce myself. My name is Kevin Ross. Singer, songwriter, producer, and label owner of Our Society Music Group. Give it up for Black entrepreneurship. Because of your energy, I feel like tonight is going to be a good night. So if y'all locked in and ready to continue to have a good time, let me hear you say, oh yeah.
How's it going, man?
Yes, going well, going well.
Good, good,
How's
good
it?
to see you. I feel like we've talked before, correct?
I think 2021 or so.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. Good to see you.
It's it's definitely been a while.
Yes.
Um, yes, I mean it's been interesting just to see how you have been progressing as an independent artist over, I think you just said 11 years you've been in the industry. How has
Mhm.
that journey been?
It's been full of ups and downs, but I'm super grateful, you know what I mean, that I still have endurance. That there's a lot more left in the tank, to be honest. It feels like, I'm just getting started in the sense of like the independent journey. I've been independent for 5 years now out of that 11. And so I feel like I'm, getting my footing there and just kind of understanding, my place in the full gamut of just the music industry, you know what I mean? Like how I can contribute and all of that good stuff. So I'm excited about that.
I must admit, I mean, I just went for your Instagram page just as I was waiting for you. And,
Yeah.
it's impressive how much you have to do as an independent artist to promote yourself. But it seems like a
Yeah.
lot of work, especially when, you were born as a creator. So,
Yeah.
singing and performing and stuff, and how
Yeah.
to balance that element of your life with having to now get promoting yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us would struggle. How have you managed to do so?
I mean, I think about it just as it just needs to be done. So I can't necessarily even think about it as like, to say, oh, I don't want to do it or I feel like I don't need to do it. It's like, when I look on Instagram, when I look on TikTok, when I look on all of the social media handles, what I see is people promoting themselves, whether it's their brand, whether it's a dance, whether it's a product. And so I'm like, if major corporations are doing this and they're using other small influencers to do it or whatever, it's like, what makes me any different? I cannot exclude myself, and I'm not the one exception to the rule. So I have to make sure that I'm being an artist and a businessman, and making sure that my product and my brand is out there as much as possible. Not to the point where it's like painfully annoying, but if I got a new song out, I have to promote it. It's not like, I put the song out on Friday. Like Tyler, the creator, said, he's like, look, if I work this hard on a record and I think it's dope and I feel a certain type of way about it, I'm gonna let you know. And just even with the algorithm of Instagram, no matter how many followers you have, you only get about 7% of your followers as far as with the engagement of it. And that's not fair at the fact that you've earned those followers and then you have to pay to actually engage with them and interact. So you're battling with that as well. But you have to fight the good fight. So that's where I stand with it.
I mean, and I say this thinking about, I mean, I probably interviewed over 200 people, and I do this part time. When not part time, even kids in bed, I quickly do this, and I guess not understanding the how you battle against. You mentioned algorithms, and
Yeah,
especially when you put out good stuff, it
yeah,
doesn't seem to respect good stuff. But if you were putting out some very sleazy, very controversial stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, we need to get this out.
yeah.
That must be a challenge in its own as well.
No, to be honest, I think as artists and as creatives, we have to have forgiveness, you know what I mean, as a part of our DNA in order for us to
What do you mean
survive.
forgiveness?
Meaning that forgiveness of your audience who may not know you, forgiveness of people and what they may have to say about you, forgiveness just within humanity. You just have to have a level of understanding that the world's going to be the world. and that you're placed here for a reason and for a purpose, and in hopes to change it or to make a shift or to, you know what I mean, even if it's something that's gradual. And so for me, that's why I feel like every creative, they don't. That's why you have a lot of people with, chips on their shoulders that are really aggressive, that, that feel like they've been burnt by the industry. And it's like, no, you just lacked forgiveness. You just lacked understanding of humanity. Us as human beings are destructive at nature, right? And so, with that being said, I'm not surprised when something blows up that everybody's eyes turn to it, right? Like in America, we have a holiday, the 4th of July, where all we do is just blow shit up. You know what I mean? Like for the sake of like independence, and like we blow it up in pretty colors, but it's
Yeah.
still destructive in nature, right? But that's the thing. People are naturally obsessed with controversy, with just the low vibrational stuff, because that's what we're fed each and every day, right? So if you're fed low vibrational stuff every day, then that's what you want to consume. But I can't be mad at humanity because I'm a part of humanity, right? There's a part of me that feeds into sometimes that low vibrational shit, right? But I have to be cognizant enough to say, snap out of it. You know better. All right, now let's go into some more high vibrational stuff. Let's turn this off. Let's shut the social media down, or whatever I'm watching that's keeping me deterred or distracted or depressed, or whatever the case may be of how that low vibrational stuff makes you feel. So, as an artist, it's just like you really have to be aware of humanity and what you can do to change it, even with your future audience. Like, every artist starts off at zero, and then when you become somebody, you can't be mad at the audience that loves you, right? You like, well, they weren't with me from the beginning. It's like, of course not, because they didn't know who you were. Like, the world can't just know you instantly at once because you're talented. You have to literally prove that point over and over. Just like when you go out on a date with a girl or whatever, it's like she's just not gonna instantly fall in love with you, like just off of the first date, or saying hi. That
Mm.
would be nice, but you still have to put work and effort in. So that's what I mean by forgiveness and understanding and compassion towards humanity. Because that's what we need.
Yeah. I did see you mention somewhere about having a message in the stuff that the content you put out. And what is the general message that you feel compelled to share in, whether you're music or when you're performing?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're just instruments. You know what I mean? We God's instruments. My whole mantra, as far as even with my company, Our Society Music Group, is that I'm God engineered and vision driven. So I understand where my gifts lie. I understand like that this thing don't work without him putting a battery in my back. And so that's kind of what I want to put towards everybody, is to understand that this thing is bigger than just you. You know what I mean? Like, we are a collective, we are a community, even if it's a small fragment of me just putting a smile on somebody's face and making them feel good. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. And sometimes the feel good music allows for me to have these type of conversations, to say it's deeper than just like, ooh, girl, I love you, or hey, we love the world. It's like, no, like, I'm a God-fearing man above all else. And so I'm going to make sure that that's a part of my agenda. That doesn't mean that I'm trying to convert people over into a particular religion or a faith or a spirit, but
Mm.
I believe that there is something, someone, or whatever that is bigger than us, that has us here for a reason to coexist in a community. This is not a main character mode type of situation where it's like, you know, maybe I'm the only thing that's real and everything else is programmed. It's like, no, like, no, life will teach you that, yeah, it ain't about you, it ain't that deep, and you ain't that special at the end of the day. Not to say that in like a, a negative
That's
way,
right,
but it's
yeah.
like it is what it is. So yeah, if I can just, steer people in the direction to make them feel good, to make them smile, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like at this point right now, every little bit counts.
Is it easier to channel you yourself as a vessel to share positive love and positivity as an independent artist, compared to when you were signed to a major label? Do you think you were less you was yeah, even though you had a machine that could increase the width of your reach, but did you feel as if the vessel that God had created was a little held back, or do you think that you could have even if you could still have been this version of Kevin Ross if you were still signed to Universal or Sony?
Hindsight is 2020. I would completely say no. Everything happened the way that it should have, to be honest. I needed to go into the system. I needed to leave the system. And I needed to build my own machine as well. And so in order for me to be here and to speak like this, all of that had to occur. So I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for, all of the years that I felt like, oh, what are we doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? And It's like it was all needed to say I needed to understand that I needed to have vision. I didn't have vision. I was just going along with whatever life threw at me. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, okay, well, whatever life presents. It's like, no, dude, like you know that you can like steer this thing. Like you have a option to like navigate through it. You was given territory to take care of. And so I yeah, like if I was still in the system, I wouldn't. Nah, I don't think I would be talking like this at all. So I'm grateful for it all. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the because back in the day, the dream for every artist was to get signed, get signed, get signed.
yeah,
That's almost the buzzword. And then you get signed and you get robbed, but it's like, well, I'm still signed. So,
yeah, yeah,
I but I think you come across as an incredible businessman, which for the way the music industry is for independent artists seems to be a really hard balance to pull off, to
yeah,
be able to put out music and still be able to expect to make money from music and not have to go out and tour and sing covers.
yeah.
What I mean, how did you get into the mindset of okay, I need to get my ducks in a row, the business in place, and then let my amazing talents be shown?
I mean, I had to separate it to say that, what I create, every project is a product, right? And it is a season of where I am. And then once I create it and I put my emotion into it and my heart into it, I have to literally say, okay, it's done, detach. Now, this is the new product from Kevin Ross. Just like Apple creates phones and stuff like that, it's like I have to then say, this is the new product for Kevin Ross, love up tempo, right? And now I have to speak to my team outside of myself because the more invested you are in your product emotionally, it becomes a tricky situation, right? Because then you start to react to the team if they don't like the product in a certain way, or if they are mismanaging it, it becomes a personal thing because it's like, oh, this came from my heart and you can't do this, you're fired. And, it's like, okay, let's take the emotion out of it. Let's make sure that we use this as a product and say, okay, where are our strengths? Where's our weaknesses? We have enough history as far as throughout the years of being independent to say, okay, who's our champions? Let's lean into that. Who are the people that we haven't actually talked to yet? Let's see if we can pitch to them and go into different territory with that. It allows for us to scale in a more efficient and effective manner without emotions being involved, because emotions, it doesn't help anything, for me to sit and get fired up on a phone call or a team call. Yes, I'm passionate, but the people that work for me still get paid the same way. They don't, when you work for a 9 to 5 or corporate America or anywhere corporate in the world, just because, you had a bad day or your boss, is getting on your nerves doesn't mean that any money is being taken from your paycheck.
Yeah.
That's just the way the world works. So I, long story short, I just try to detach myself emotionally. I'm still an artist, so I have to catch myself sometimes. You know what I mean? Because I'll get in my bag and be like, "Yeah, this ain't fair." Da, da, da. And I'm like, snap out of it. I got a great mentor named Rob Watson, who's actually my manager too. But he really helps me in a sense of growing as a businessman.
Mm.
And so we'll have conversations about, how to scale and being able to really analyze and look into the numbers and looking at everything. I have all of the information in front of me now. So the things that I'm not able to do, if I'm not able to do it and I'm upset, then I did something wrong. I didn't do enough research to understand the why of it. And so I feel a lot freer and a lot more at peace when I can actually look under the hood to say, okay, this is the reason why X, Y, and Z didn't necessarily transpire. Some things are out of my control. Some things are like, okay, maybe we didn't push hard enough, whatever. But at least, I know enough, not
Mm.
everything, but enough to be able to move on to the next thing.
When if independent artists are watching and they're wondering, is there a, can you make a living from recording music and put it out on Spotify and YouTube and just hope for the best? Or do you
Absolutely.
have to wait for a viral moment to generate some stuff? I mean, because we'll talk about love in the middle, but it does it need to do what 30 million streams before you can see a return on your investment? Or I mean, how what would you say to independent artists?
Oh, it's very possible to make a living. See, there's a difference between having a career and being a star, right? Like a lot of people are hyper focused on being a star. So it's either a star or nothing. So I don't know, I just get 30 million streams. It's like, yeah, but you can still make a living. So for every million streams, you still get on average about 2,500. And that's just on the master if you own it completely. We're talking 100%. Now, if you're doing business with a distribution company and they take 20% to 50%, then that goes down to maybe, 1,250, if that's 50% of it hypothetically. But for every million streams, that stuff counts. So if that's only one DSP, so now we're dealing with a multitude of maybe close to 100 DSPs. We only focus on the big five or six. Spotify, Apple, Pandora, Tidal,
Amazon, I think.
Amazon. Then you got the other ones like Deezer and all of these other like DSPs that are looking for champions. See, we get hyper fixated on the bigger things, right? It's like, oh man, I got a placement on Spotify. And it's like, great, but they may not like your music. That particular audience may not like what you do. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. You just may not have found the right platform to champion you. There could be the one that's ranked 30 that's waiting for you, that's willing to put whatever budget they got in front of you. But that's the thing though. The more that you diversify, the more that you have as many platforms on the table, the more money that you can possibly make. Certain ones are gonna be duds. And then that's just what it is. But if you only shoot a couple shots and say, all right, cool, I'm done for today, then you get what you give. That's what I'll say to independent artists. You get what you give. The more you shoot, the more relationships that you create, the more research that you do as it pertains to how to make money, right? You don't need 30 million streams. You don't need to go viral in order for that to happen, but you need to be smart with your money as well. If you only had $500 or $1,000 to record a project, I wouldn't spend that $1,000 in like paying another studio. If I had $1,000, guess what I would do? I would invest it and build my own studio. And when I say build the studio, that means buy, uh, you know, inexpensive equipment so that anytime that you need to record, you don't need to spend any money anymore. That's the problem as far as with a lot of indies is that they don't have this. They don't know how to record themselves. They don't know how to even give like an impressionable mix. And I'm not sitting there to like chastise people. I just want better for the independent community. Even for the genre of R&B as a whole. The future of R&B is independence. It has nothing to do with sound. It has nothing to do with sonics. It has nothing to do with bringing back, redigging up Marvin Gaye or redigging up Sam Cooke or like reimagining like all of these great people. They were great. Leave them alone. You know what I mean? Like there will never be another Stevie Wonder. Let's not like we're not here to recreate that. But what we are here to do is to learn the lessons from those artists on the business end. As extraordinary as they were more extraordinary artists that got screwed over in their business deals and in their dealings, and they died broke.
Mm.
I'm not trying to relive that.
Yeah.
If anything, I'd rather be half as extraordinary as them, but actually die with money that I can pass down to my children and to my children's children. That sounds
Mm.
like a better deal to me.
Yeah.
The future of R&B is independence, not a sound, not an artist, not a champion. It's the business of it, and we don't have that. Name the Master P of R&B. Name the Brian Williams of Birdman of R&B. Name the entrepreneurial heroes that came to save the day for R&B. It's very far few and in between. And even if they were, they didn't give out enough gems to pass on to us.
Mm.
So here we are, and we have the opportunity of a lifetime to make a difference. So I'm a part of that crusade.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's stuff that we should definitely listen to because I think the challenge for us as consumers is that back in the day, you know, it was a big deal when an R&B album was released and it was controlled. So what you watch on BT,
Yeah.
what you'd get on Hot 97 or Hot 95 or whatever it was, it's like, okay, this is what I need to listen to. So it was controlled. You knew what to get.
Mhm.
Now it's almost as if the floodgates open. So you listen to one, it's like before you know it, it's like, okay, here's the next one.
Yep.
And it doesn't have the same value for us as consumers as it did back then when it felt scarce.
Yeah.
And I guess I wonder then for you as an R&B artist, how do you then make sure that in this fast-paced, here today, gone tomorrow, fast food music industry, that
Yeah.
you make sure that when you are putting time and effort in Love Up Tempo Volume 1 coming out in March, that actually people can appreciate it and sip on it instead of gouging it down and moving on to the next.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like direct to consumer, right? Like from artist to consumer is a very important thing, especially nowadays. Building a relationship with your fan base. That means that for every time that somebody comments under my post, I'm commenting back. When
Wow.
they DM me, I'm messaging them back. I can't be too busy to respond to the people that took time out of their day to say something to me. They could just literally scroll past and ignore me. But for them to stop, like, comment, and to go out of their way and put their ego aside to actually give me some love, I gotta give them love in return. So we can't leave a stone unturned, right? So it's less about how many record sales you do in the first week and more so to say how many committed and devoted audience members and fans have you garnered, whether or not uh the major labels are behind it, whether you got a feature. If you go online and say, look, I'm dropping an album today, how many people buying it? How many people are you actually, how many people can you actually generate on your own? And did you do the work in order to strengthen those relationships? That's the important thing that matters. So, even if, let's just say, because even sometimes, team members, they'll say, our first week was great and this and that. And I always have to say, I was like, yes, first week was great. And it was a great launching pad. Right. And it was like launching pad. I was like, yeah, because that ain't it. It ain't the end of it. I was like, I got songs that was in my catalog sitting for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it just got a viral moment from somebody that was painting something on the wall, and then it went from 10,000 streams to 30 million streams. That's how quick it can change, but it can take 2 years. And so it's bigger than just the release moment, the release week, the month, the year. You have to consider every single release to say, this is just another opportunity to build my catalog. right? So for every time that I come out and I come out with a single and I do radio, I'm not just doing radio because it's the only thing that I do, but I'm a touring artist as well. And so the best way to reach people that actually love to go see shows, they actually listen to the radio or they listen to Sirius XM. Shout out to Sirius XM. You know what I mean? But they listen to songs that are on there and then they go see your show.
Mm.
And then what you do in your show, depending on how good you are, they actually will come back. And then they may actually bring another person or more people. And so that's the beauty of it. Is like, I don't look at it from a standpoint of like, oh, if we don't do these numbers in the first week or like it's a failure. It's like, no, like I'm just building. I'm just building my catalog so that like 5 years from now, when I'm doing bigger venues and stuff like that, and somebody comes to see me for the first time, they may have heard of me, they may have heard a couple songs, but then when they see me in the show and they're going through it, they're like, dang, I know this song too. Dang, dang, I didn't realize he did that song. Where have I been? But I can't be mad and be like, yeah, where have you been? I needed you. It's like, no, like, it's like, no. To me, in my position, because I feel like I'm the youngest in that kind of demographic of R&B, um, I'm preparing a place for my generation, right? So I'm not playing catch up. I'm not following them. I'm not chasing a trend. I'm not doing any of that. And so that's why it feels sometimes weird to people when they like look at me or like or even like certain like friends of mine, they be like, yeah, man, like, I respect you, man. Keep going, man. Eventually you'll I was like, ain't no eventually, dude. I was like, y'all don't realize like I'm playing ahead. Y'all think I'm playing behind. I was like, but it's your vantage point because you guys are so used to chasing. You're chasing behind something. I'm literally ahead of it. So if I'm years ahead of my generation to say, I know what they're going to need. They don't think they're going to need it, but I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to get ahead of them and I'm going to prepare it so that when they say, you know what, I don't want to do festivals no more. My knees hurt. I don't want to do standing rooms. I don't want to lay on the grass. I don't want to do this. I want to actually be in love. I'm actually getting married. Who can I go see that's not going to talk about all this negative, low vibrational stuff? Who can I see to make me and my lover feel like we loved or feel like we're seen? And if we don't have a place or venues or artists or songs to represent that, then that just puts the generation in a bad predicament. So I just have to prepare. That's all I've been doing. Every year, somebody gets older. We all becoming uncles and aunties in training. Here we go. And every year, it's more people that just start coming along slowly but surely. And so that gives me confidence and faith to say, this is going to work out, not just for me but for the genre. Like I said, like no one person can put the genre on their back. Like it's just literally impossible.
Mm.
But I want to set an example for the up and coming independent artists to say, okay, I can do this. Like I don't have to be Brent Fayez. I don't have to be like, and that's no
No, this,
staff
yeah, yeah,
brand
yeah.
or anything like that. I'm just saying like you don't have to move like particular people. It's like you could be exactly who you want to be, who you are, make the music that you want to make
Mm.
and still have a career. But you inside of your mind and inside of your heart have to define success first. What is success to you? Because everybody's going to scream what is success to them, and they're going
Mm.
to try to put that and project that onto you. But if you don't haven't made up your mind to say, okay, well, all I really want in life is X, Y, and Z. Or if I can literally pay all my bills, I've been successful. That's why I made the post. I've been successful for 11 years, right? It doesn't mean that I'm content. It doesn't mean that I'm complacent. It just means that I set a goal to say, I just wanna do what I love to do, and that's music, and have that pay my bills. I don't want to think about no other job. I don't want to think about doing odd end stuff and working Uber or Lyft. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I wanted to get to the point where I could just purely just use my gift to pay my bills and all other expenses, right? Like go on vacations because of my gift. Like that's success to me. All the other stuff, as far as oh, you're a superstar and you made it on, that's the extra bonus stuff. That's the stuff that's the white hot light that can last for 5 minutes, 5 years. It all depends, right? You never know. And some people are fortunate enough to have that moment, whatever. But success to me is to be able to provide and
Mm.
to be able to do it without having to stress. I haven't had to stress over money for 11 years.
Wow.
So that's wild to me. Now I got other problems. I got other issues
Yeah.
and troubles and worries and stuff like that. Don't ever get it confused. Like when people say it's like more money, more problem, it's like when you get money out the way, you actually realize you be like, oh yeah, I'm grateful. But oh, I don't like this
Mm.
either. Right? So that's the joy of it. So independent artists out there that's listening, um, do what you love to do. You can have a career, you can make money, but just set your goals, set your intentions before anybody comes in and put their intentions and their hopes and dreams on you. So,
I think just, I mean, when you said this, I mean, my role, I'm a therapist. And so, but one of the challenges is that I noticed that within our community, whether
mm,
here in the UK, in America, or even around the world, we don't do therapy well. We go to church when we should go to a therapist. And I do wonder when you, you're being able to pay bills as a recording artist,
mm,
but then how do you deal with the other pressures and the stresses that come with, being independent and having all of this stuff going on?
mm,
Because I do want to not just inspire up and coming artists who might be facing that, thinking, "Oh man, Kevin is doing it right. I should go for it." But when things do get tough and
yeah.
stress and pressures, how do you manage that?
Uh, my therapist when I was doing therapy and during COVID and stuff like that, he said you have to treat your emotions like leaves on a lake.
Oh, so
And
you even went for therapy. Wow, so that's good to hear.
yeah, so he said treat your emotions like leaves on a lake, and the same thing as far as stress and trouble. If it's a lake and it's a body of water, right, and there's problems and there's issues, normally our natural reaction is to jump into the lake to clean it out, right? Versus allowing for it to exist and to say this will pass, right? Like for the things that I can't control, I will, but for the things that I can't. I have to allow for that to take its course, right? And I can't allow for it to like ruin my whole day or like, I just have to kind of deep breathe through it and say, all right, this is where we at. This is what is going on. It's not the end of the world. I have my health. I got my strength. I got my mental faculties. That's when I kind of do a self check of me to just say, all right, go into grateful mode. Like the glass is either half full or it's half
Mm,
empty. What type of conversation we finna have, Kev? Let's have the half full conversation. This is
mm,
what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have my family. I'm grateful to have this. I'm grateful to have people that I can call on the phone to complain to. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? If I need if
yeah,
I needed to. So like I said, like I'm human, you know what I mean? And so I have those moments, but I do have enough tools that I can kind of pull from to say, all right, it's okay for you to have the moment. You good with your moment? All right, let that go and continue to take it one step at a time. You know what I mean? So I don't try to like pile it on because it's
mm,
easy to pile on in your mind and emotionally. You know what I mean? Like when one bad thing happens, then you start thinking of all the other bad things that could be going on and it just starts to weigh you down. And
yeah.
that's how people start to have breakdowns and they go into emotional distress, you
Mm,
know? Um, but for me, I'm like, okay, this is one bad thing. I could think about all this stuff, but I got a family that I need to tend to. Like I gotta make sure that they are good. I gotta make sure that like that my house can't fall down because I stubbed my toe. You know what I mean? Like that's a terrible comparison, but it's just like, but
No,
it's
yeah,
one of those things where it's like, yes, it could be a personal affliction, it could be something that happens in your world, but everything that I love can't suffer from it.
mm,
Like, I can't allow for that to happen. I have to protect that at
yeah,
all costs.
yeah. I think one of the things you mentioned about the gratitude stuff and being able to see the glass half full helps develop a positive mindset because when you don't you can get bombarded with negative mindsets. So you
Yeah.
mentioned about having a level of success that you define because it's quite easy to start looking at others and think I'm not there yet, and they compare themselves among themselves, and that's then all of
Mhm.
a sudden you're now chasing something that's not yours, and that then can have an impact on your mindset. So I like the fact that you spoke about actually setting your own standards. I like the fact that you spoke about gratitude because that helps your mind to say, okay, yep, there's still so much to be thankful for
Yeah.
despite the setback. And I really appreciate the fact that even as a black man who's has a successful career, you can still see that actually, if I can seek help for my physical health, it's important to also make sure that my mental health is taken care of.
Absolutely.
Now, I listened to Love in the Middle,
Yes.
and I think I don't know if it's because I did a show on this artist a while back, but I got the vibe of a song that probably could have been on a Thriller album.
Oh,
And
wow.
And and maybe, it may be just because I'm a massive fan of Rob Temperton and
Yeah.
his type of writing and how Quincy sort of married the music together.
Yeah.
But it was something about the Love in the Middle, and maybe it's the production because it felt as if you were using live instruments, like somebody actually playing the bass and stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah.
sound manufactured. It could have been like, well, goodness, but it felt like, okay, you got a band in there, they're playing stuff, and
Yeah.
then you're singing it. And so, and then you went back to the 90s type of background singers, joining in. So
Mhm.
it just had a really massive feel-good vibe to it. So I wanted to just talk about the creative part of it and how you got that sound that actually just really felt authentic, and it felt like stuff that if back in the mint condition were like this, you listen to the record, you see them on tour, and you knew
Mhm.
you were going to get the same thing.
Yeah.
So just talk about how you created that song and how you got it to sound like as rich as it did.
Yes, sir. Well, I can't take complete credit for that. Shout out to Lewis York, and that is a group that consists of Claude Kelly and
Oh,
Chuck.
we so crazy guys.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
So
yeah.
we've known each other for a couple years, and we actually did kind of like a radio event together, and that's what kind of sparked the idea of us collaborating. And so once we kind of talked about it, a couple of months later, I go down to Nashville, and we start to formulate ideas. And so they're like, "All right, Kev, so what's going on? Like like." We know what we want to do as it pertains to like working with you, but what do you want from out of this? And so I kind of say, look, here's the title of the project that I'm working on. It's called Love Up Tempo. And so I was like, I don't want anything that's slow. I don't want any ballads. I said, I want everything to feel good. And I said, but most
Mm.
importantly, I said, I represent the blue collar lover. And so I was like, I represent the nurses, the doctors, the UPS,
Okay.
workers, the post office people, just everyday people that get up and bust their ass in order to make a living for themselves. I said, I feel like they've been overlooked and underserved as it pertains to music. I said, I feel like music doesn't reflect or say to them that I see you and that I understand. Everything is very fantasy like and over the top. That for that 27 or 47 to 67-year-old woman that comes home and she done worked hard and her feet hurt and all this stuff is like, what can she put on from Pandora that's new that can make her feel good?
Mm.
And so when I explained that to them, they were like, ah, okay, we can work with that. And Chuck had this loop The boom boom doo 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 doo. And so he's playing that on the keys. So me and Claude are coming up with melodies and stuff like that. And so then all of a sudden, like we get this phrase, the da 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 da. And so it's like, okay, this feels good. And then once we landed on Love in the Middle, it was like, yes, yes. I was like, this is great because I was like, now we can encourage people to just kind of slow down and actually focus on the things that they love. Put love in the middle of everything that you do, right? And so we didn't want it to be like a philanthropic song. We still wanted it to be R&B at its core, but we wanted for the song to have as many meanings as possible, meanings that you can interpret. Love in the middle of, when the red light is on and you with your, with your significant other, you can put the love in the middle for sure. But also, you can put your heart into your work or to your passion. You can put love in the middle of your family. It can mean so many different things. But what I've really uh feel like we executed was this kind of like euphoric feeling of like, okay, if we play this song, will people want to hear it again? And as we were listening to it, I was like, yeah, this feels good. And I left the studio. That's the first thing I played. Then I'm driving. I'm like, I can't shake this thing. I was like, let me play it again. I was like, I can't shake this thing. And so for me, I automatically go into business mode to say, all right, Kev, do you think that this song is too old for you? Is it something that, the skews an older demographic and right? It's like I really go into these modes. And so I have these battles like within my mind where I'm like, well, Kev, this feels good. And, and then something hit me one day. It was actually one of my supporters, and she was just like, shout out to Kevin Ross for making high vibration R&B. And I was like, vibration R&B. And I was like, I messaged her back. I was like, I love that. And I was like, I'm going to use that. Shout out to Promise. Thank you, Promise. But I was like, I'm going to use that. And I was like, yeah. I was like, for this whole time, right? Like people have been trying to like they'll say all of these words to me like, "Oh, your music feels so old, or it feels like this, and it feels like that, and no, you're too young to." And it's like, no, it's like there's nothing wrong with the music I make. It's just a different vibration than what you're used to. You're used to somebody being this young making lower vibrational music. But I make music that is of high vibration. That's why I say within the song, I said, well, Earth, Wind, and Fire would say it like this. And then we start to go into a more of even a higher vibration as far as on the vamp. And so that stuck with me and it still sticks with me as far as within Love Up Tempo, where it's like, I'm not going to allow for anyone to make me feel crazy or to make me question the reason or why I do certain music. If it feels great to me, then now I have something to actually that I can name it to say, no, this is just what did I say? A high vibration R&B. That's it. It's like if you don't like it, that just means you vibrating somewhere else. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
to judge anybody. It just means that you vibrating somewhere else and it's not for you. But if you gonna vibrate on this high level, come on. Yeah, we here. So yeah, that's
But that's
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 love
a
in the middle.
challenge though. That's a challenge though, because most artists would say, "Why don't you get offended if people don't like their stuff?" But you're like, it's okay. It's not meant for everyone, and
Yeah,
it's meant for those who actually operate at a level that can really vibe to it.
yeah. I mean, look, it's just like restaurants, right? Like or any type of like service, right?
Mm.
It's like, okay, you go to you go to the mall or a shopping center or whatever the case may be. You have your McDonald's and then you have this 3 to 4 5-star restaurant. There's nothing wrong with neither because you're going to get fed, right?
Yeah.
However, you would hope that within this 4 to 5-star restaurant that they're using a better quality. And
Mhm.
sometimes for the first time when you go inside of a 4 or 5-star restaurant, when you eat the food, if you don't have the palate for it, you don't know how to receive it because you've never had that quality. So sometimes people would be like, I mean, it's just whatever. Like, I don't know why I'm paying for this, right? Or it tastes weird. It tastes nasty. Oh, I'm gonna go back to McDonald's, right? It's like it's okay, right? Like the owner of that 5-star restaurant understood that it's like we're not McDonald's, and we're clear that we don't make McDonald's food, so we're not gonna make McDonald's money.
Mm.
However, if you do want to experience something that is of better quality, it's here for you. And we understand if you don't like it. It's okay. We're not here to bash you. But if you want to try it again, we'll still be here. But McDonald's is here for you too. You know what I'm
Other
saying?
restaurants and fast food joints are
it's,
available.
it's but it's nothing wrong with neither. I
Yeah.
just had to look at myself to say, Kevin, do you want to be McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, or do you want to place yourself at a higher regard?
Yeah.
And like I said, nothing wrong with neither. Sometimes you look at McDonald's, you be like, dang, McDonald's is killing it, man. They're really they're really having their way with the people right now.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, going back to the song though, and as I said, I think I could, if Bruno Mars came out with that track,
Yeah,
we wouldn't be surprised. That's I think it's as I said, I got the vibe of something that Mike would have had on his album,
yeah.
but then again, in another part of thinking, okay, I can see Bruno Mars,
Hmm.
because when you listen to it or even watch some of the little small videos you've been putting out with it,
Yeah,
you seem as happy as happy as what you're singing about.
yeah,
It didn't feel as if it's just like you're just singing a song. You can actually feel you being happy singing it, and you can hear that.
yeah.
And it is quite a unique endeavor to do that. Was it recorded with live instruments or was it just programmed? I'm really impressed. But as I said, the
Yeah.
musicality behind it as well is really what really got me as well.
Oh, thank you. So it's like part program, part live instrument. So
Okay.
of course Chuck plays keys, I play
Mm.
keys. And then once we laid down the demo just with keys and some synths, um, Chuck went in and did some drum programming, and then he added bass, live
Did he
bass.
put, oh, that's as I said, the
Yep.
space sounded live. That's what,
Yes,
okay.
bass sound is live. The acoustic guitar is live. The electric guitar is live.
Okay.
So yeah, so there's a lot of things that make it come to life.
That's, yeah, makes a
Yeah,
massive difference. What
yeah.
about the background vocals? Who's doing all the backing vocals? Is it you or?
It's just me.
Okay, okay, okay,
Just
okay.
me for sure. Yeah.
As I said, and I think it's yeah, and it's the lost start where everyone just programs stuff, and as I said, I could tell that actually felt like it was live, because that means that when I do see you live,
Yeah.
it would sound as if just at the record. So, as I said, Mint Condition, they were so amazing when you used to buy their music, because if you see them live, it sounds like the record. And I can
Absolutely.
just imagine seeing you perform Love in the Middle live. It would be just what I've listened to.
I would
What
hope
are
so.
we
For
going
sure.
to expect on the rest of Love on Temple Volume 1 coming out on the 21st of March?
I am so excited about Love Up Tempo because it offers something different from me in particular. Not to say it's like, oh, you've never heard this before. It's like, no, it's just a different sound and a different vibration for me.
Mm.
Right? Like I said, there's no ballads on here.
Okay.
There's no quote unquote vibes. Like everything is intentional. It is really high frequency. And yeah, I just feel like it's just a great time. And I feel like it's something for everybody. Like you could put it on and like literally wake up in the morning to it, or you can go to bed. It's an all purpose project. And so March 28th, I'm
Oh, 20,
excited.
I thought it was 21st, but it's have you
Oh,
changed?
no, yeah, it's all good. March 28th, yeah, it
Okay.
gets lost in translation. But yeah, so um no, I'm really excited to see what people think about it. You know what I mean? And then also to allow for it to grow with people.
Mm.
That's the most important part to me is like not just the initial, but it's like once you live with it and wear it and put it in environments, and that's when you really start to get the true and honest nature of it. Like, I put out this one project called Drive 2, and like, it started off cool as far as the release, and then as time progressed, you saw how well the album matured, in the sense of every record, right? I only could afford to go to radio once, so that was my one shot with the song called Looking for Love, right? But then other records from off of the project started to peek its head out, as far as streaming wise, or like, having to like go back to radio and get a new budget for a record called Sweet Release. And so all of a sudden now, like, I think every record on that project, has a life of its own. You know what I mean? And streams very well, like abnormally well, for album cuts, for the music that I do. And so I take pride in that, to say this is a marathon. And so when I look at Love Up Tempo and the anticipation of it, I look at it in a sense to say, okay, there's the initial, and then there's later on.
Yeah.
And you only hope that the work that you put in, the love that you put into it, that it will last, and that it will endure. And so, I don't make music just so I could say, oh, we had a moment, we got him, we went number one,
Yeah.
and it means nothing next week, but I got number one. It's like, nah, you gotta really live with it. So I hear my baby boy crying downstairs.
Oh,
So I don't want to like abruptly,
yeah. No, no, no,
but
no,
I,
no,
I know that this is like
no, no, no. I
it's
guess.
coming to a close.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just how many songs should we expect on it, and who's going to be handling production?
Yes. So it will be 5 songs on this particular EP, 5 songs on the next one, Love Up Tempo Volume 2, and then we'll come out with an album later on this year, production by your boy, Lewis York, a fellow by the name of Killstone, a fellow by the name of Lamav. Let's see. I'm forgetting some people. Please forgive me. Production by guy from New York, super talented guy from Jersey, Justin Love as well. Romeo Taylor. Uh, yeah, a lot of great collaborations. How could I forget Jan Hunter? Jan Hunter Jr. That's my guy. So yeah, that kind of completes the whole project for sure.
Oh. Well, okay, but maybe, as I said, maybe, and I know that you've got your Love of Temple tour starting on Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
city wineries across the country.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, I definitely hope people will catch you out. I know that despite all the business side and everything, the one natural thing that we people can't take away from you is that actually you're a really amazing singer. I remember seeing you on during the Can We Talk phenomena. You probably won it for me, although other people, Tank had other ideas.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that I one of the things that you bless us with is when you do the harmony stuff,
The
uh,
mashup. Yeah.
the matchup. So it just showcases that the one thing that you can't take away from you is that actually you are vocally talented,
Thank
and
you.
all the other stuff is the gravy on top. So it's been great seeing you again, and hopefully, as I said, maybe late in the year we can probably have a little bit more time to speak about the album once it's released.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes. Well, I appreciate it, Kevin, and yeah, and definitely, as I said, amazing track, and it's really something that I hope more people will get to listen to and
Thank you.
celebrate with you as well.
Thank you so much, man.
Okay, then I'll let
All
you
right.
go. Go get your tend to your son.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take
All right.
care.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions had an echo, so much space. Ooh, ooh. But when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. me crazy.
Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the interview I had with Kevin Ross. I have to appreciate the fact that he's really good as a singer, first and foremost. Um, but he's really taken the role as an independent artist seriously, both from the business point of view and both in how he promotes his albums and his music. So yes, Love in the Middle is streaming now, and Love Up Tempo Volume 1 comes out March 28th. Take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between.
For even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for me, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas boys are winning all spirits.
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.